Good evening and welcome to the program. This is the Limelight and my name is Prince Apollo. Now, city businessman Hamis Chigundu, popularly known as Ham, has rolled out a development project on Nachivubo Channel in Kampala, capital city. And it's an ambitious redevelopment plan of a channel that has been over time a headache in the development of the city, especially associated with clogging, sediments, and flooding within the city. And according to this plan, HAM plans to modernize this section, creating service lanes, installing water filtration chambers, and potentially developing these other commercial spaces above the infrastructure. However, this initiative has faced opposition from a section of local leaders who recently criticized Chigundu for allegedly blocking the drainage and blaming him for flooding crisis, further exacerbating the problem. We want to listen to the experts, what they think about this redevelopment plan of Nachivubo Channel, whether it is feasible and it makes sense. And on the program this evening, we've been joined by Mugisha Imam. And Mugisha Imam is a natural resource economist and environmentalist. He is also the executive director for Youth Concern on Environment and Development. Welcome to the program. This is the Limelight.
Thank you, Mr. Apple, and to our dear viewers, good evening, wherever you are.
Thank you. Let's go straight to the issue, Mr. Mugisha. Looking at Nachivubo Channel, open as it is, what do you see in the perspective of the environment?
Thank you, Mr. Apple. Maybe to our viewers, if you to look at the genesis of all this, you look at the letter dated 2nd August, from the president to the prime minister, where the president said he had been excited, by this proposal to redevelop, upgrade, beautify, and improve Nachivubo Channel. In fact, he called it a Godre project. I don't know, because we are in this, Godre environment, I think it really aligns with that portfolio. But also, Mr. Hamis Chigundu points out that the fact that the channel is open, it invites people to throw in rubbish, including plastics, but also, contagious to the channel leads to the blockage and the flooding. To me, it's the issue of first, where it caught the public attention is the issue of power dynamics, taking it all back to the, weak governance structures within the country, looking at the land acquisition process, but also, is it a visible plan, as you asked? If it's a directive from above, will he be subjected, to, critical scrutiny? That is the question. Will he able to be, to undertake what we call environmental impact assessment, to look at the impact of this project? How sustainable is it? Those are all the questions. You look at today, when the road mayor was visiting, NEMA offices, and he was blocked from entering. So it's the issue of power dynamics. And, if you take it also back to the politics, now it's the issue of who has more powers. But back to what you have asked, to me, because the issue of power struggle and weak governance structures now takes us back to the issue of how visible is this plan. Will NEMA be able to question harm? Where is your environmental impact assessment? Where is that plan? Environmental social management plan. So to me, it's the question that keep lingering in my mind. will he be able to subject it to such scenario? So to me, that's the first point. But also, I want to reflect to the 2018 report by World Bank, where they said 170,000, residents of Kampala are affected by, these floods. But also, in the same report, they say 50 billion US dollars are lost in these floods. You can imagine. We have always negotiated to the viewers the conference of parties, and this was in COP27 in Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, the discussion on losses and damages by these climate changes. How can European powers, invest in Uganda, for example, to tackle that issue of flooding? We negotiated till 1 p.m., but the discussion was understood. A lot of money we lose in such scenarios. So, to me, first, address the issue of weak governance structures, but also, if you look at the Kampala Drainage Master Plan of 2016, that project, they injected around 805 billion Ugandan shillings. What did that money do? That takes us back to the issue of governance and the issue of, opaque contracts. Who did what? What was the result of that money? We want to see the outcome. So to me, Mr. Apple, those are the critical issues we need to address. But also it coming up that this is an order from above, it comes with real challenges. How will we able as citizens be able to hold Mr. Ham Chigundu, accountable for the impacts of that project?
Okay, but looking back at what Ham presents as the problem he's planning to solve, like you said, he talks about being open. It invites people to throw in rubbish, including plastics, feces, and other associated challenges. If at all it is constructed according to the plan, does it address the drainage and environmental challenges in the city?
Thank you for that question. To me, the Nachivubo channel isn't the only problem to the flooding in the city. As I said earlier, to address this issue, we need to look back and address the governance structures of this country. We shall not address the flooding in Kampala if we don't really address the governance issues. We have injected a lot of money in solving flooding in Kampala metropolitan area, but this hasn't yielded any result. It's the issue of governance. If you have, for example, I told you that master plan of 2016 with worth 805 billion, it didn't yield any result. Do you think there is any other amount of money that can really solve this issue without tackling the real governance issues within this country? So to me, however much he constructs that, but it's not going to address such. But also, Mr. Apple, you have to understand that putting a concrete, structure over the drainage channel brings more problems.
Like what?
Because flooding will come, then plastic also will congest, and you don't know. We won't be able to understand where the problem is, because to me, all what he's saying, it's not about problem the flooding city. They are things he's targeting. If you look at, because the president in that letter, he said, because he was worried, how is he going to recoup the money he has invested in solving the flooding, in Kampala. But in the same letter, the president said they are going to construct maybe rentals on the top of that
commercial structures.
Commercial structures. You see the target. It's not about addressing, flooding. That resonates what you're saying. You're asking me, Will it solve the flooding issues? No. He has his plans of, investing over, on top of that drainage channel. But that has, major repercussions if this is not subjected to, public scrutiny, but also through the governance structures looking at NEMA. Will he able to do the real impact, environmental impact assessment? Because you have to really understand the real issues. The issue starts from waste management. How do you, for example, separate this waste? Mr. Apollo, the number one issue of Kampala, if you remember very well, when NEMA introduced this law of having a dustbin in a vehicle, where they need to go. So addressing those structural challenges is one problem. But also, if he has to do the real environmental impact assessment, maybe along the way we can learn lessons, and maybe that can be coped to address, other flooding within the city, looking at the different flooding points. But to me, number one point is, if he's not subjected to the environmental impact assessment, to do real scrutiny, that won't solve the
So in essence, Mr. Mugisha, you're saying, in trying to solve a problem, we may also create another problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let's talk about the general administration and management of drainage systems in this city. What is your opinion? How do you rate the effort in addressing the challenges associated with drainage in the city?
Yeah, thank you once again. Now, I also want to take you back to what they call the Kampala Climate Change Action Strategy of 2016. That strategy really identified, drivers of vulnerability, to heavy rain and flooding. Now, they talked about, housings on hilltops and settlement in wetlands, drainage network issues. If you have been, to resort, Munyonyo, there is a section of that hotel that is encroaching on wetland. It's what that Kampala Climate Change Action Strategy talks about, us encroaching on wetlands. But also, heavy rains. How are we able, for example, to rethink innovatively, maybe to tap rainwater? That can also solve such issue. That's what the strategy says. But if you look at that master plan, it had structure measures. For example, construction of new drains. That was a key point. And we had a lot of money allocated for such. And it wasn't done. To me, if we don't address corruption, we don't address, for example, the discussion on opaque contracts. Who takes what has he done? A return on every penny invested. So such it won't be solved. So my general observation, yes, we have put out all strategies, we have put out all the plans, we have actually invested a lot of money in those plans, but the real issue is now, how do we govern? How do we, for example, bring these plans into reality? First, solving what I talked to you first, the issue of governance.
Okay. Well, you cannot talk about drainage systems and you do not talk about the wetlands where this water goes. Recently, I think we all witnessed the operations to kick out encroachers on wetlands, including Rubiji and other areas of Kampala. As an environmentalist, do you think those operations yielded anything in, of course, salvaging the wetlands in the city?
To me, I really have to give a balanced opinion on this matter. I witnessed what was going on. I actually did a fact-finding mission in Rubiji. While doing that fact-finding mission, we found out that there is we call it selective application of the law. The rich versus the poor. Now, in Rubiji, there was a soft drink company within, that Rubiji wetland. That wasn't tackled. So we went back here in, this Masaka Road. On the right side, there is Mandela Mirrors. It is, encroaching on wetlands.
That's around Busega.
Around Busega. that wasn't tackled. I have just told you the issue of, the issue of Speaker Convention Center in Munyonyo here. It is encroaching on wetland. So if the law is selective between the rich and the poor, that's, that initiative, yes, it was a good initiative to evict, encroachers, but if they applied the selective, that selective application of the law, it didn't make sense, because what we are going to see in the long run, we are going to see the evolution of rich people now coming to settle in
to retake the wetlands,
which were where people were,
where the poor were evicted
because they know the law won't impact them in the long run. So to me, it was a good initiative, but the strategy wasn't real. If it wasn't to work for us all and sort of, the flooding issues you see, the law must not, for example, give any green light to anyone. You have to be, apply the law justly. The law had to rule. But this, it wasn't what we witnessed on the ground. So that's my honest opinion on that matter. And I don't know how far with that program, but if the the stakeholders in that process, specifically now the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, really had to apply the real law to work, to me that was a real good strategy in solving the flooding challenges here in Kampala.
Okay, as we plan to wind up, looking at the smart city plan of Kampala, it also includes beautifying the city and, of course, establishing green belts in this city.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how far has this gone to force, to of course, make our city green and contribute to its environment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Apple, for that question. I want to take you back to initiative by the same person we are talking about, Mr. Ham, during the non-aligned movement. He planted, trees in major, highways here in Kampala, but where are they right now? Several months later, they were drying up. So there was no strategy to follow up that initiative, maybe to keep watering them. Yes, it was a good strategy, on behalf of the Ham Enterprise and, group. But if there are no mechanism to follow up on that, that strategy, maybe you have planted trees and continue watering, it's something that you have to address. But also the mindset change for Kampala people. You could find someone walk on the same, lane where, these trees were planted. And that's what really affected them. So to green Kampala, we have to really address the question of mindset. And maybe, redesigning the Kampala structure, infrastructure, including roads, the pedestrians, maybe where you're going to plant trees. Have seen cities like Kigali, how they have really planned very well. So to come up with the Greening Kampala initiative, it really has to go back and review our, the whole master plan of Kampala, look at what infrastructure do we need to put at a certain point. So it's when we are going to really come up with, a real solution of greening Kampala. But there are initiatives, and we have to really appreciate the fact that people like Hamis Chigund can come out and, think through such and start,
planting trees.
Yeah, beautifying Kampala. It's a good initiative. And how I wish some other, investors in Kampala, as the way of giving back to, community through maybe corporate social responsibility, are able to do such. That's when, and that all rotates on the question of mindset change through these private investors. So,
finally, from me, as we conclude, you cannot talk about drainage, maintaining a drainage system without tackling the issue of littering. There was a recent directive from the president that everyone caught littering in the city should be apprehended and slapped with heavy penalties. Do you believe that is a good idea, and do you think it will work? In just 3 minutes and we conclude.
It won't work. It won't work. I think he was testing waters with 1 feet to see what comes out. That really won't work, because the issue of mindset change is something that you have to address. But also, if you have put up dustbins, I have seen, actually it's a credit to Kampala State Council Authority, they have put up dustbins, you know, on major streets. But you find someone dumps a plastic, you know, bottle down when the, you know, a dustbin is here.
A dustbin.
So you can imagine such level, you know, of mindset, you know, and these are people whom you assume that they are developed, but a dustbin is here, but you're putting a plastic bottle down here. But also, key to that is, how do, for example, now the issue of public-private partnership, how do you bring in Coca-Cola? How do you bring in, you know, these beverage companies? For example, if I buy water, I haven't bought a bottle. I have just bought the content. How do you, for example...
The bottle belongs to the company.
Yeah. How do you, for example, come up with a policy within the, you know, the company that maybe I'm going now to start using 20% of these profits I make? Or if a bottle of water is 1,000, how do I make, for example, you know, 20 cents, Uganda shillings, to go in recycling this plastic bottle? So it's something that the president had to really bring in through these private investors to see how they can cope up in the long run.
In the long run.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mugisha Imam, an environmentalist, but also working with a civil society organization of youth focusing on environment. And we've been speaking redeveloping the natural water drainage channel, but you cannot talk about drainage if you don't talk about issues like the mindset of people towards littering. Then you also you must also talk about how the wetlands have been protected or actually reclaimed in order to absorb the water that goes through these drainage systems, and all those issues. Now he says, looks like it's a bigger problem. It also cuts into governance issues and behavior change and all those. And we now look forward to a time when all these issues can be addressed and we have a cleaner and livable city. My name is Prince Apollo. Thank you so much, Mugisha. Yes, and hope all goes well.
Thank you. Maybe my concluding remarks. Today, KCCA has put up an order to Mr. Ham Chigunu to halt all, operations. Hope the best comes out of it, because he lacks statutory approvals from all entities I've talked about.
All right.
Yeah.
That's it from us at Salt Media. We now look forward to a positive engagement on this particular matter. My name is Prince Apollo. Until next Friday, when we come back with another edition of The Limelight. From here, we go into Msinji with Pastor Aloysius Bujingo. You don't need to miss that. And until then, good evening. God bless you. God bless Uganda.